Hello YouTube, I was just going to do a quick tutorial here on exploration. I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere here in my Anaconda. I know there's a ton of videos already on exploration that explain a lot of it. A lot of them aren't very updated. Not that a lot has changed in general with exploration, but right now I'm exploring in an Anaconda, as you can see kind of in that bottom right. You can do this in pretty much any ship, including the starting Sidewinder. And you just need a couple of basic modules to get started. And depending on cargo space, initially what you're going to need is a discovery scanner, which you see I've outlined right here. They're cheap, and there's 3 different types. There's a simple one, there's a medium version, and then there's this advanced one, and they obviously get more expensive as they go. The good thing about the more expensive one is it will scan everything in the system regardless of how far it is from the star when you drop in. So once you can afford it, that would be a very good upgrade if you're planning on exploring at all. The next piece that you're for sure going to want to get is this surface scanner. There's only one type of these. It's not there's not 3 different versions that are more expensive, but what that enables you to do is what I'm doing right now. You can see in the bottom left there's a progress bar that's filling as I'm getting closer to this gas giant I'm scanning here. So being able to scan stuff and get more specific data, you can turn around and when you get back to the bubble or wherever this is, there's a station to dock. You can sell that information off and it helps raise your explorer rank. Sorry. Which, your explorer rank over here, you see mine, it's just pioneer. When you sell that off, that raises that. So, basically, kind of what you're looking for. I'm going to slow down just so I don't blow into this thing really fast. When you jump in, you're going to honk and scan to kind of get an overview of what's in the system. What I suggest is going to the system map, like this, and just kind of glancing through. Each of the different types of planets will make a different noise when you hover over them, even if you don't know what they are specifically. So for example, this moon will make... Oops, too far there. Each of these moons kind of have a different little musical noise that you can hear to hint at what they are. Once you get good, you can actually tell, just from the noise, what they most likely are. I'm not very good at it yet. Still working on it. I have not done a ton of exploring, but and then what I usually do is when I jump in, I look to see if there's anything that's worth scanning. In general, this is again in general, as you start moving up in explorer ranks, you're not going to want to scan every single thing in the system. And the reason for that is it's very time consuming and it's not worth your time monetarily when you can just kind of keep jumping and moving. If you have a ship that's not if you're not planning on going out for a very long period of time and you're just trying to do it for a couple of hours and want to stay relatively close, then absolutely scan as much stuff as you want to start off with, just to raise that rank, to get some money. But ideally, what you're looking for are the more rare types of planets. Nice, these guys are kind of binary here. And the more rare the planet is, the more money you're going to get for scanning it. So ideally what you're looking for is Earth-type world, a water world, high metal content worlds. Those types are worth a lot more money to scan than, for example, an icy body or a icy planet or rocky planet. Those are a lot more common, and they are not worth, in my opinion, again, your time to fly out and scan them. In fact, even these gas giants that you see here in the gameplay that I'm flying between and scanning, realistically, they're, in my opinion, they're still worth scanning. Mostly because usually they're big, and you can scan them from further away. But those rocky and icy bodies are pretty small, and you have to get very close to them to scan them, and then it takes that much longer then to accelerate away from them to get to the next thing that you're going to scan. These gas giants I can usually scan from further out, just like stars. And also in general, moons are not worth scanning, because even if it's kind of like for example, a metal moon, a high metal content moon, the value on it is much lower than an actual high metal content planet. So, and again, if you're trying to maximize your time here, because there's obviously millions of systems that you can jump into. So you're never going to run out of different things to scan. It makes more sense to hit the big things, or the things that are going to be worth the most money, and jump onto the next system looking for the next big ticket, so to speak. So the other thing too, if you're brand new to the game, there's the PlayStation 4 launch was recently, but what I kind of watch for when you are approaching a planet or wherever else, whether you're coming into actually dock or whatever, but the fastest you can really come in without blowing by it is you come full throttle, and then when you see that time that's now stuck at 7 seconds, and that gets to about 7, you're going to want to throttle back to halfway in between that yellow zone you see down there on my screen. It's usually blue. That's just a change in my HUD color. And then from there, if you keep it in the half, the ship is going to slow down at the same rate that you're closing, basically, so you are not going to fly past whatever it is that you're trying to scan or wherever it is that you are trying to land. So again, I'll kind of demonstrate here. This one's a lot further away, so it's going to take a bit. But we'll throttle back at 7 seconds. You see the time is dropping pretty fast here. But while that's going, we're going to go over and look at the system map and see what we've scanned so far. So this Class 2 gas giant here that I'm hovering over, those are the most profitable gas giants. That one is also. This one's got actually water-based life, which will be worth quite a bit too. Class 1s are relatively cheap. This is the one that I have targeted, so we don't know what that is, and it looks like it's in binary with this other gas giant here, so we'll see what that is. And there's still an additional binary that's even further away than this, so we'll make that decision if it's worth scanning or not. But so again, full throttle, just kind of heading in. As far as what to bring when you're exploring, you can kind of see on the left-hand side of my HUD here, I have 4 heat sinks. One of them is activated, the other 3 are powered off. There's not really any particular reason I have them powered off other than they generate less heat, which if you look in the center of my HUD, down at the bottom of the circle, which is my radar, just above in the kind of top left corner of that circle, you'll see the number 24%. That is the heat that is being generated from my power plant and everything else. So the lower that is, the better. Once you start getting upwards into the higher numbers, you will start taking damage. Alright, so real quick here, we're throttling back to half because we're at 7. I'm actually going to throttle back to full because I don't want to get sucked in too close here. Because again, the closer we get, the harder it is to accelerate away from them to get to my next thing that I want to scan. So that's a Class 3, so that's, again, it's not bad, but not the best. And then this one, we're already close enough, so there's no reason to zip in unless you're trying to see the sights. Now that one that we scanned originally, you kind of look closely, and I'll even move a little bit closer with my headset here, but you can see it's got some rings to it. Kind of cool to look at. It's got some moons as well, but we are focused on kind of getting through the system here, so we're going to keep moving. But yeah, if you were going to dock there or you wanted to get in close, just peg that thing at 7 seconds. You can even go as low as 6. I would be careful because once you, if you get to 5, you're going too fast, and it's going to actually snowball, and usually it goes from 5 to 4 to 3, and then you blow by it. So 7 is usually the safest place to leave it at, but 6 again is manageable. If you do happen to find yourself where it gets below 7, and it's in that 6 range and you're kind of like, whoops, wasn't paying attention, what I suggest doing is you throttle all the way down to 0 like this, and then you actually start kind of fishtailing like this. Because if you think about it, you're changing your vector that you're headed, the direction you're heading, and making it into a curvy line instead of a straight line. And that'll bleed off some of the time if you do it early enough. Sometimes it's just you're too fast and there's no saving it. So you can see right here I'm at 6. I'm at 7. I'm just going to leave it at half. I'm actually going to pull it all the way back again too, because I think I'm definitely probably going to be close enough to hit that second gas giant that's in binary here. Another Class 1, not that great. And this guy, if we look at the system map here, this one's probably going to be another Class 1. But who knows? And I was right, it's Class 1. Alright, so this system, as far as I'm concerned, is done. I'm not interested in the moons. Because like I said, they are not worth much of anything, money, and then also getting sucked all the way into the gravity. The influence from those gas giants is not worth it. So, I've already got a route plotted. I'm heading towards the North American Nebula. or North American Nebula. So next jump here.
Frameshift drive
So
charging.
we're going to head to jump, and I'll kind of show you from the beginning here as you drop in. You can see the top right, it says that the class star that we're jumping in on is G. It's kind of the way I have it plotted in the galaxy map. I will show that also here, but so I know it's scoopable.
4, 3, 2,
So when we do get in here, first thing I'm going to do, actually do it right now. I am using a throttle and joystick here, but I always throttle back to half. So if you're on PlayStation or using a keyboard or something, as soon as you pop out, you're going to want to hit, at least my suggestion, a full stop with your engines, just so you don't accidentally come barreling in here. So the first thing I do is I use that Discovery scanner. That's what that honk was. You saw on the top right it says 66 new astronomical objects were discovered. So I usually stop, point it straight at the parent star here so that I can start scanning it. And while I'm scanning it now, since I already honked, I'm going to go to my system
fuel
map
syncing complete.
and I'm going to take a look at what's in this system. So that, from the noise and just kind of from the look of it, looks like it's going to be metal, 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 metal. That's definitely metal. You can tell how the lava and everything like that. These asteroid belts are not worth anything. Unless something has changed since I started playing, those are absolutely not worth scanning. And I'll show you in the left panel how to remove those so they don't actually come up when you're trying to scan things. And then we got a couple more. By a couple, I mean, holy cow, a ton of gas giants. Now, if you see gas giant that's brown, a lot of times these have ammonia-based life, hence the brown in their atmosphere. It's a byproduct of the life. So those are going to be, we're definitely going to want to scan those. They're relatively far from the parent star, 3,000 light seconds, 3,700, and this thing is ice. You can tell by, one, it's so far away from the parent star. You can tell a little bit by zooming in at it and how it looks. And again, the moons don't care. Some of these moons can be kind of fun to land on if you're looking to get like screenshots of these cool gas giants with rings or whatever, but in general, moon's totally not worth it. So, kind of like I was talking about, back out here on this left panel, so down here hitting the number 1 key on your keyboard, if you go to your filters, I always, always, always have asteroid clusters off. There's absolutely no reason to have them on there, in my opinion. There's nothing there. You can scan those, and they'll totally clutter up your screen, your contact screen, so I always shut them off. I have signal sources off too because I'm not planning on stopping because I don't really want to get ambushed. I don't really want to pick up cargo, but that's another thing. So now what I do from here, since I'm interested in the system and there's some metal content stuff, again, I come from this main screen here. I'm at a full stop. And you can see my heat is kind of hanging at 64%, or excuse me, 54%. If you do like go AFK, I've done this, so don't. The ship is still moving towards the star, very slowly, but your heat can get high, and I've come back to an exploded ship. I didn't think it would get close enough, fast enough, and it did. And I lost about a month's work of exploration because I'm dumb. But yeah, over here on this left panel, what I do is I just kind of go right down the list in order, and you can kind of tell by how they're indented. So this top one here is the star that we're looking at, and you can tell that the star symbol there is all the way to the left, meaning that there are other bodies that are orbiting it. So these are going to be planets. This is a moon. This is a planet. These are moons. Planet. Get the idea. Moons. Excuse me. These are all moons. Planet. So I'm only interested in the planets, not interested in the moon. So I grab the closest one. You can see on the so right by the main circle in the middle there's another smaller circle, high left. That is kind of basically your target heading indicator. So if it's a circle with a black hole in the middle of it, it means that it is behind you and you need to turn. And if it's got a built-in circle, it means it's in front of you. So we're already scanning this, and I just left the influence of the star, so I'm going to start cooling off. So I'm going to go ahead and stop again my engines totally, just because I don't want to get too close, any closer to the planets than I need to, because it's quicker to scan. The scanners actually do go faster the closer you are to the planet, but I do not want to get stuck in their gravity well. So I just go down the list here as far as what's next closest. And again, this one's already scanning, so I'm going to go ahead and down the throttle. And then while this is scanning, because it will continue to scan while I'm looking at my map. I'm just going to look at my map. See, the last one was, it's a metal-rich body. So if I was interested in landing on it, if you have Horizons, you can see on the left-hand side, there's actually a printout where it shows what the makeup is. It's on the very bottom. It says planet materials. So it's mostly iron and nickel. There's some manganese, about 10% zinc, 4% zirconium. So there are some rare elements, rarer elements like that yttrium on the very bottom there. But it's only 2.2%, meaning you're going to have to break a lot of rocks on the surface there to try to find some of that. And that's not really why I'm out here. I do that from time to time to break up the monotony of flying and to get some cool pictures and see some sights. But so this one thankfully was a binary. They're kind of orbiting each other, so we'll scan this one as well. So if you come back in the system map, you'll see this second one here is now other high metal content. It's got some other metals on it too. Yttrium, niobium, never even heard of that. But yeah, kind of cool. If you are interested in space or astronomy at all, you can see there's lots of different stats on there as far as the makeup of stuff. And sorry, I'm just reading and getting distracted by my own stuff. So the next one actually was another high metal content world. So all three of those so far have been metal, kind of like I said that I was pretty sure they were, just from the beginning when we dropped in and looking at them and the sounds that they made. So again, I just kind of go down the list to the next closest. It shows it's behind me, so I'm going to have to fly around the sun here. So I'm going to try to stay at, the star, so I'm going to stay a little ways away from it. Because it does, again, slow you down. Any kind of body here in Elite Dangerous, whether it's a planet, a moon, a star, a black hole, they all slow you down as you get closer to them, and it's harder then to accelerate away from them, so you don't want to get any closer than you need to other stuff. There's a signal source. I thought I turned those off. That's weird. Must be under points of interest. I don't know why that's showing up. Oh, it's just not showing up on my... Sorry, it's not showing up in this navigation list. It'll still show up on the screen if I see it, but... as a demonstration too, what I will do is I'll include asteroids, just so you guys can see how much it clutters up that screen. Just kind of scanning through each one of those. So while this one is scanning, so if I reset the filters, you can see there is a ton of things that I am closer to that I didn't explore. And they just kind of, and by a ton, there's only 8, but you'd have to click through each one of those and see that they are an asteroid. You can tell it's from the picture down there in the bottom left. And again, not worth it unless something has changed, and if something has, by all means, please let me know in the comments. There is, you get no money whatsoever for scanning those, so not worth your time. Unless you're really curious what a specific asteroid belt is made up of. So this is one of the gas giants, so we should be able to scan this, as you can see, from quite a ways away. The orbit lines that are kind of out here, I know they're kind of ugly. I don't really like them. I have them on mostly so when I come in towards my stars, and I have a fuel scoop so that I don't get too close and get pulled out of Super Cruise and overheat. It's annoying. But if I'm taking pictures or video or anything like that, you can turn them off. And to turn them off, you come into this right menu. And this tab up on the tabs on the top here, I'm cycling between. You go over to functions, and it's down towards the bottom. It's orbit lines, so you can just toggle them off, and they go away. So that one is a gas giant with water-based life. So if we open up our system map again, that was this one. It's kind of a surprise to me. I wouldn't have guessed. So that's actually a relatively rare planet, and will be worth a decent amount of money. Relatively speaking. Nothing about exploring really is going to get you rich. If you want to get rich, then go do passenger missions or bulk trading. But it's kind of fun jumping across the galaxy and seeing some different sights. I remember the first couple of times you start seeing these different colored planets and gas giants and stuff, and getting really close and taking cool screenshots inside their asteroid belts, or their rings. It's a lot of fun. Alright, I'm not doing that, and I still get enjoyment out of that, but I'm not doing that right now because I'm just trying to show a typical system here as far as exploration and move in between. I'm going to go ahead and dump throttle here real quick, and I'm going to pull up my Galaxy map and kind of explain or show you what I was talking about with my filter. So, I'm going to use my mouse here. Up top, if you come to the filter up top here, you can actually click over onto map, and then there are a bunch of different filters that you can pick one to start with. But so I have it sorted by star class, and the reason is because certain stars are more likely to have those rare type of planets with water, water worlds or Earth-like worlds. So I filter out the ones that don't. And now these K and all these guys, there are a lot of these in the galaxy. I'm not even sure if protos are rare or not. I don't think they are. But the cool thing is you can pick which stars you would like to see. And then down here, your non-sequence stars, those are the, your black holes, that kind of stuff. And then if you check this apply filter to route, the cool thing is if you're interested in going to a particular destination, aka the North American Nebula, when you click, it will automatically plot that route where you're only going and jumping to the stars that you have selected. So you can completely bypass a lot of the stars that you are not interested in seeing. That's the way that I have it set up, because these stars that I have selected are, I think I totally screwed up my scan there by toggling off. Oh, no, I'm finished, thankfully. The stars that I have selected are more likely to have those rare planets than some of the other ones, because they're just simply too cold. The ones that are more red in color. So that's why I have it set up the way that it is. You don't have to do that if you want to see a variety. I mean, originally when I would go out, I wouldn't turn that filter on at all, so that I could see a variety of different types of stars. See some really cool sights, but it's kind of, it's all about what you're in it for. Some people are just interested in being the most efficient and grinding through exploration or trying to get to a destination that's a long ways away as efficiently as possible without scanning everything. The other thing that I'm using here too is track IR. Probably noticed my little sensor's not set up very well, so that if I try to look down, it gets kind of jumpy, as you saw there. So when I look down and left, so I try not to look down, but it is really nice to be able to look around, especially in combat when I'm following stuff. So that's just kind of a basic overview of exploration, the way that I do it. There's lots of different ways to do it, and it's more about, the nice thing about exploration, it's more about enjoyment than it is anything else. The one other thing that I want to cover real quick is the other pretty much mandatory module that you need that I didn't bring up early, which I apologize, is this fuel scoop. That is what allows you to be able to refill your gas tank so you can keep going by scooping plasma or whatever that's coming off of the stars as you jump in. Without that, once you run out of gas, you are dead in the water. So a fuel scoop is a mandatory thing if you're going to go exploring, unless you're planning on literally going 2 jumps out and then turning around and going 2 jumps back to a station to refuel. And that is not worth it. With a fuel scoop, you can almost essentially stay out indefinitely as long as you aren't taking damage. There is more of a, there's some more modules and stuff that are worth equipping if you have a lot more room and a fancier ship with additional space. But the fuel scoop is a must. Out here you'll notice I do have my shields on and powered. They are 100% not needed. The only reason that they are on is I had, prior to the video, had landed on a moon to get some video and actually got some materials too. A decent makeup of rare materials, but turned my shield on for when I was landing, just in case I happened to bounce off the ground. I didn't want to do any damage to my ship. But otherwise, shield really does not need to be on. You don't even need to have a shield with you. There's nothing out here that's going to attack you. Whether that changes or not with Thargoids, I doubt it, but you don't need it. So with the smaller ships where you don't have a whole lot of room to put a bunch of different modules, I would say your most important module to get as big as you can on your ship is going to be your fuel scoop. So if you don't have lots of room and you need to get rid of your shield generator for the fuel scoop, that's a trade worth making, because you are not going anywhere when you run out of gas. You have to call the fuel rats and see if they can come save you. But I think that's going to be it for this kind of quick tutorial. If anybody has any questions, I am not an expert by any means, especially in exploration. I have a lot of time in this game, mostly because I enjoy it and I find it relaxing. and not just exploring. I've done a ton of trading and have a very basic understanding in combat as well. So, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in comments, and thank you for watching. This is Tolero. Thanks.